Spring is here, and the housing market in Ohio should be waking up. It's not. 83 of 88 counties are still sitting on fewer homes for sale than they had in 2019 before COVID. We've gone backwards, folks, gone backwards in active inventory. But it gets stranger because it's not just sellers that are staying home, refusing to participate this spring. The sellers who did show up are pulling their listings back off the market more than they did last year, to the tune of nearly 20% of all homes that are listed are delisted. So today, I'm going to show you exactly what all this means for the Ohio housing market as we move into spring. Welcome. My name is Jason Ferrier. I am the Ohio Housing Nerd. I'm a realtor. I'm an investor here in Central Ohio. And this is your chance to learn about the Ohio housing market. And so today, I'm going to update you on what we're seeing with all the latest data, what I'm seeing on the ground as a realtor, and it's your chance to learn about your market. So if you have an area of Ohio, a zip code, a city, a county that you want me to review, I'll do it live today on the live stream. So welcome. Now, quick disclaimer: I'm not an accountant. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a housing nerd. But welcome. And now that it's spring, I'm able to use my outside studio. So welcome to my outside studio. Let me move this down. There we go. All right. So we're ready to rock and roll. Let me show you what's going on here. This is pretty astonishing, folks. This is the map of Ohio and zip codes in Ohio. The green zip codes represent where we have more active homes for sale than we had in 2019. Now, many people go, why are you talking about 2019? Well, 2019 was before COVID. And what we're seeing is that inventory levels, the number of homes on the market, is not growing like it should, especially this time of year. Last year wasn't good, and this year isn't much better. So if you look at this from a zip code level, you can see the green zip codes are where we have more inventory, the browns where we have fewer homes for sale, and this is not acting like a normal spring. And I want to hear from you. What do you think is going on? What are you seeing in your local Ohio housing market? More homes for sale, fewer homes for sale, higher prices, lower prices. What are you seeing? And it's really not just low inventory that's the problem. I'm seeing people pull their homes off the market, again, to the tune of about 20%. But let me start. I'm just going to look at from a county level look and show you what's happening. You know what? Actually, let's go to a state level. So here's the active inventory in Ohio for the entire state over the past, well, going back to the year 2020 at least, right at the end of 2019. You can see, look at this, inventory down 37% statewide compared to 2019. Down 20 or 37%. So again, if you go back before COVID, we had a lot more homes on the market, a lot more. And there's been a big jump here, and I think it's because of delistings, but I'm curious what you have to say. And again, if you want me to review your zip code in Ohio, drop it in the comments. I will get to it in the second half after I'm done with the update. So yeah, we've got fewer homes for sale. Now, if I look at, this is pretty startling too. Look at new listings. So the number of people actually putting their house on the market. Because if you don't believe me, again, you may be thinking, Jason, what are you talking about? Like, I see homes everywhere. How can we not have homes on the market? I think they're everywhere. Well, Look at this. The number of people putting their house on the market in Ohio overall is down 20%, nearly 21% versus 2019. So not just the number of homes on the market, I'm talking the new listings, the people actually saying, put a sign in my yard, Jay, I want to sell my house. Well, not near as many people doing that as we had before COVID. And that's a problem, a big problem. Now let's look at pending sales. What about demand? How's that holding up? Interestingly enough, it's flat versus last year, not going back to 2019, but just looking at last year, we've got about the same number of buyers in the market. So it's almost like the buyers, for the most part, are staying away because there's not a lot of homes on the market. But you let me know what you think about that. That's what I'm seeing in the data anyway. It's like just sellers are stingy, buyers are stingy. Every little submarket's different. Your street could be different, your subdivision, your school district, your zip code. But at the end of the day, it's, the numbers are not trending to have a robust spring. We'll just say that. So pending sale, pending list, pending sales, they are not growing like they should, obviously because of supply. Now look at price reductions, 14%. So that means that if you look at all the actual homes on the market, 14% have a price reduction, nearly 15%. Last year was actually a little higher. So we actually have fewer price reductions than we did last year. But if you go back to COVID, we had 7% of all listings had a price reduction. So price reductions are elevated compared to COVID levels. But if you go back before COVID, it's about the same. So it's not like sellers are like slashing their price all over the place. It's a weird market. Now, I'm sure you want to know about prices. So let's look at prices and see how they're doing, because I haven't even talked about prices yet. So prices in Ohio are up. The typical home price is up 3.4% year over year. So it means homes right now cost about 3.4% more than they did last year. You're like, Jay, that doesn't really matter to me. I just want the number. That's fine. Maybe you're not a nerd, but you kind of are because you're joining me here. Let's look at the typical home value. What's that doing? I mean, right now it says $237,149. This is statewide. Again, we're going to do zip codes here in a minute. You drop your zip code below and I'll get to it. But according to the Zillow typical home value, and the typical value is the 35th to 65th percentile. It's not the median. It takes out the top, it takes out the low, and you get the middle there. So when you look at this, it's an all-time record high price right now in Ohio. Homes, the typical house in Ohio has never been more expensive than it is right now. And this is completely not what most people expected, right? Most people expected the housing market by now would crash. Why? Well, they thought maybe the higher interest rates, wars, AI, job loss, buy now, pay later, student loans. I mean, there are people out there that think the housing market is going to crash every year, and they have these ideas of why, but those ideas usually don't have anything to do with the actual data of the housing market. And so the housing market functions on supply and demand, folks. And right now, you like it or not, if you're a buyer, you probably don't like it. If you're a seller, you certainly like it. Right now, buyers are struggling to find houses that make sense and priced right. And that's why prices are at an all-time high, $237,149. You're probably thinking, man, homes aren't that cheap where I am in Ohio. But that's the typical value if you look at all the houses in Ohio. So that's what's happening with prices. Let's go to a county look now. We looked at, you know what? Let's do metro look real quick. And then I'll, obviously, if you have a comment too about the Ohio housing market, a question, I can help you there. But if I look at, let's go to Columbus real quick and just look at home prices. They are up 1.2% since last year. So they're not flat, they're not down, but on a real basis, adjusted for inflation, they are down. I mean, if you think about inflation at, even if you think about the Fed's target, which isn't even a target, it's a fake target, but we won't get into that. The that's 2% target of inflation. Home prices aren't even keeping up with inflation, the home price increase. So this has drastically shrunk. The growth has drastically shrunk. But now let's look at the typical price in Columbus and see what we can find. Typical home value in Columbus right now. And this is surprising. I mean, this has definitely grown over the last few years. You're like, I'm sure you're thinking, no kidding, housing nerd. 338,468 is the typical value in the Columbus market. Actually, I misspoke. 339,258. Did I say that? 339,258. Yeah. Is that an all-time record high? Let's find out. Yes. So right now we have an all-time record high home price in Columbus, Ohio. Homes have never been more expensive. The typical house. Unreal, right? Now, let me look at some inventory here just in Columbus. We get a snapshot. Columbus is still down 7% versus 2019. Again, that's a good benchmark for us because that was when the housing market before COVID was kind of, normal as it could be. Now let's do Cleveland and see how that's doing. So Cleveland home price is up 4.4%. They're over inflation. So on a real basis, not just nominal, it doesn't count inflation. If I think about real, they're up a couple percentage points, whereas Columbus isn't. So Cleveland home prices just are unrelenting. They continue to go up and really surprise and disappoint many housing bears. Like there are housing people that are obsessed with Ohio and scratching their head and wondering how are prices still going up? Well, you should come to the Buckeye State and find out. Because people want to live here. People want to buy homes, but homes are relatively difficult to find, good ones. At least overall. Okay, let's look at the typical value in Cleveland. This is the Cleveland overall market. Again, I'll get to zip codes. Drop your zip code below in the comments, and I will analyze it live in a few minutes. 242,691, certainly cheaper than Columbus for a house. All-time record high home price. You're going to get tired of me saying this today. You're going to get tired of it. You're going to be like, oh, again? Yeah, again. Homes have never been more expensive than they are right now in the middle, the end of winter, right? And we're not even in the summer. Unreal. Now let's look at inventory in Cleveland. How is that doing versus 2019? Look at this. I mean, you want to see something insane, extraordinarily insane. If you're a housing nerd, you're like, what? The active homes on the market in Cleveland, they have 50% fewer homes for sale than 2019. 50%. That's not a typo. I didn't misspeak. 50%. I mean, that data speaks for itself. All right, let's check out Cincy. Find out what's going on with the nasty natty, right? Home growth, 2.8% up year over year. So last year, homes were 2.8% less expensive, I guess. 3%, basically 3%, a little over inflation. So Columbus, out of all the cities, has the slowest growth in home prices. Notice none of them yet have dropped year over year. And if I look at the typical value of a house, $305,570. So Columbus is the most expensive out of all three major cities. And you're not shocked, I'm sure. It's an all-time record high home price, $305,570. All-time record high. It's never been more expensive to buy a home in Cincinnati than it is right now. Let's look at inventory and find out how they're doing. Down 33% since COVID. 33%. So they still don't have as many homes as they had on the market during, right before COVID hit. And that's a problem, a big problem. It just keeps the market frozen, right? So Columbus is almost to our pre-pandemic level. Cleveland is way behind at 50% fewer homes on the market, if you can believe it. And then Cincinnati, 33%, which still isn't very good. Anyway, those are the three major cities. If you want to know another city or your metro or your county or your zip code, drop in the comments and I'll get to it in a minute. So let's for a second, though, talk about delisted properties for a second. Now, we know that delisted properties, the number of homes that are being pulled off the market, like a canceled listing, an expired listing, temporary off market, you'll see that stuff online all the time. That's been really growing throughout the US. And maybe that's factoring into our low levels of inventory, because people are like, you know what, I can't sell my home, or I'm not getting the price I want, so I'm going to delist it. Supposedly, those people are coming back this spring. Now, I can't find data for Ohio with delisted properties, so I had to kind of get a little nerdy and download all the Columbus MLS data. Short of that is that I calculate about 19% of all listings are being delisted, removed from the market, either expired, canceled, temporary off market. So it's about, it's actually approximately around the national average, maybe a little under, but people are pulling their houses from the market. The question is, and you let me know what you think, are they going to return to the market or are they just going to run away? And that matters, because if these sellers put their house back on the market in mass quantities this spring, more buyers have more choices, and that translates usually into more competition for sellers and lower prices. The other thing I want to mention before we get into the comments and the zip codes is that there's no doubt that the market is strange. It's not, make no mistake, just because we've got more listings, just because we have fewer listings and buyers aren't getting the choices they want, interest rates are keeping demand kind of at the sidelines still. Pending sales are only up 0.4% in the state. So what I'm seeing from a realtor standpoint is that even homes that are priced correctly in great neighborhoods that are dialed in, beautiful houses, newer built houses from like 20, 21, 22, 23-year builds in good school systems are still seeing their listings sit a little while, longer than normal, longer than what we've been used to. So bottom line is, if you're a seller out there, price your home right and be patient, because it may not fly off the market. It may not. All right, let me get some comments, then we're going to dive into these zip codes. Remember, subscribe to the Ohio Housing Nerd if you get any value out of this, and do me a favor and hit the like button. It greatly helps out the channel. It only takes a second. And share this while we're on the live with someone else. That really helps. Gets more people involved and helps the YouTube, metaverse algorithm thing. All right. We got some zip codes coming in. Waterville. All right. Yeah, do that one. I got Waterville on the list. Also high property tax, and they're still not selling it. Yeah, remember, like in a lot of cases, your property tax may not reset until you sell. So if somebody's kind of locked into a low rate, low price, they're like, why would I sell? I'm not going to. There's no reason to. I hear that more than not. Like, no reason to move. Wow. Yeah, wow is right. Brunswick, Ohio. Get this one. And if you can, put the city in too. I didn't mention that, but you put the city in. Also, what you're doing. Are you buying, selling, investing? What are your struggles? Like, what are you doing in that zip code? That helps me understand too. But the city definitely helps, because I don't have all the zip codes memorized. But if you forget to, it's still cool. I'll do it. We got a lot of them on here. Wickliffe. All right. I've never heard of that. Dayton. All right. Let me know if there's a specific zip code in Dayton you want me to review. I don't have neighborhoods, but I got zip codes. Oh, you got it on here. Oh, you got 2001. I love that movie. I'd argue the 2010 may be better, just from a watchability standpoint. You know, you got to be in a certain mindset to watch 2001, but it's a fantastic movie. One of my favorites. 44024. Got it. And what's up, Joe? Joseph, first time buyer. Okay. Let me know where you're moving or where you're looking. I can put that zip code in unless you already did. Man, I haven't looked at any of these zip codes before. These are great. Huntsburg, 44046. All right. Can't believe you caught that. Oh, 2001. Oh, yeah, man. One of my faves. One of my faves. You know, the monolith kind of reminds me of a data center in a weird way. I don't know why, but it just does. Maybe because it's just square and black. I don't know. 45036. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. All right, I'm going to start with, who do I got first? El Camino. 66 El Camino. Dude, that's an awesome car. I wish I had one. 43566 Waterville. All right, let's do it. And I'm going to go for probably an hour and a half total. Unless my battery runs out, which it could. I'll have to run and get my charger. 43566 Waterville. Right? That's where we're looking. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to run through. We'll run through inventory first. And for inventory, unless you want me to look at something else, I'm only going to look at the 2019 data versus right now from an inventory standpoint. So right now you've got 8.7% more homes. You got about 9% more homes on the market there in 43566 Waterville, 43566. And again, if you're joining us, hit the like button. Subscribe to the Ohio Housing Nerd. Share this video while we're on the live stream. That's your price to come in. So you have more inventory, El Camino. You got more inventory than you did in 2019, which is good. But let's find out how demand's doing. I'm just curious about this. So since last year, pending sales down 22%. But I'm wondering if you just don't have many listings, because a lot of these zip codes or some of these, we don't have a lot of listings. I mean, you got 25, but the pending sales, in other words, the demand is lower. There's no doubt about it. Like last month, well, at the end of last month, I'm sorry, we're in March. At the beginning of February anyway, you only had sold 14 homes in a month. So that's down slightly from the year before. So let's just look again at active inventory. Sorry if I'm jumping around here. I'm just trying to get my bearings to make sure we're tracking the right data. So active inventory count. You've got 25 houses on the market. Last year, you had 19. And the year before that, 15. During COVID, you had 10. Before COVID, you had 23, 30, 35. So definitely you're growing your inventory, which is good. Probably just need more. Let's look at prices and see how they're doing. Are you seeing higher prices? Yeah, look at this in Waterville. Prices are up 5.3% year over year. It's insane. I mean, nationally, folks, you have to understand what's happening from a larger scope and then drill down to Ohio and then drill down to your zip code. It kind of gives you a perspective. But if you think nationally, we're flat. Home prices are flat. So for an area to be up over 5%, I mean, that's higher than typical growth through the years. I mean, that's no joke. That's no joke. You've got higher for longer prices. I'm going to guess they're at an all-time record high. No surprise they are, obviously. 341,294 in Waterville. 43566. Homes have never been more expensive. So far, we've looked at Columbus, Cleveland, Cincinnati, and now Waterville. All of them have had the highest, they're at record high home prices. All of them. I'm going to mark this down because I want to find out if there's any areas at all we look at today that have lower home prices than not at record. So far, haven't found it. All right, so that's Waterville. Inventory is growing, but prices are still going up. It's yeah, until we magically get more homes, which I don't know how we're going to do that. They're not building enough, that's for sure, in Ohio. Ohio new home construction is bad. It's low. Now, I'm not saying builders should build more because I don't run their business. It'd be nice if they did. But the housing stock is old, folks. It's old. And that means they need more homes. New homes, by the way. If you hear anybody tell you, or you hear some pundit goofball on YouTube say, we've overbuilt, we have too many homes, you should try to reach through the screen and give them a good smack, because they've never come to the Buckeye State to see what's really going on. Brunswick, Ohio, 44212. You got it, Blue Moon. 44212. Whoops, that's not the right zip code. That's out east. 44. New Brunswick, Ohio. Let's do it. Let's do. We're just going to do active inventory count. Make this easy on us. So active inventory count right now, you've got 36 houses on the market. If I go back before COVID, it looks like you had 55 homes on the market. So definitely, fewer homes than you had before COVID. And if you go back to 2017, you've got 96 homes on the market. And this is what a lot of people miss. Pay attention to this part. What I notice in many of the Midwestern areas, and definitely the Northeast of the United States, and Ohio included in the Midwest, the number of homes has been dropping. It was dropping before COVID. Like, you have 96 homes in 2017. In 2018, you had 78, and this is for February. And then you had 55 in 2019, before COVID. So, like, the number of homes was declining before we got to COVID. And that signals to me higher demand, not enough construction. Like, I rack my brain trying to figure out where we're going to get inventory from. If you're waiting on inventory to flood the market, we would need like a massive distress wave. And I'm not talking like just a few thousand foreclosures. Like, we would need a ton of distress, which we really don't want, right? But if we had it, maybe that would increase inventory. Beyond that, aliens are going to have to come land in Ohio and build homes, because home builders ain't doing it. Not enough. And then during COVID, you only had 21 homes on the market, just 21. So now you've got 38, right? So you're improving, but not enough to be excited about. Let's look at home prices. Okay, so home prices up 3.8%, just a little bit over inflation, but they're still up, right? I mean, they're not crashing. They're not down year over year. That's the point. What's the typical value? What am I going to say, folks? What do you think I'm going to tell you about the typical value of houses in 44212 New Brunswick? Is it Brunswick or New Brunswick? Brunswick, Ohio. What do you think I'm going to tell you? $308,000. Typical value. What's that? All-time record high home price. Homes have never been more expensive in 44212 Brunswick, Ohio. I mean, okay, so maybe we'll find one today that's not at an all-time high home price. And this is why you follow and come on the lives, so you can learn about what's happening in Ohio, the truth, right? Rather than headlines or Instagram post or, I don't know, whatever else you listen to. All right, so homes are expensive there. Jeez. All right, Mom. Let's try another one. Wickliffe. 44092. Or is it Wickliffe? I don't know. All right, up north on the lake. On the lake, let's find out what's happening in the lake. You know what? This is driving me nuts. Let me just go back and change this. So we hit the right note off the beginning. All right, inventory. You've got 26 homes right now. 26 homes on the market. Last year you had 30. So this is what I mean. I mean, look at this. Right, and we're not talking seasonality. A lot of people are like, housing nerd. And you may be thinking this. We're like February. I mean, even though it's kind of been warm the last few days, it's still kind of winter. People don't list in winter. I get that, and you're right. But we're not comparing winter to summer. We're comparing winter to winter. Yeah, believe that. So look at this. 26 homes on the market at the end of February. But last year, in February, same time period, you had 30 homes. You have fewer homes than you had last year. Inventory is going the opposite direction in 44012. Let me just make sure I got that zip code right. Oh, 92. My dang it. Dang it. I didn't pay attention. 92. My bad, folks. 92. What's going on? 92. 91? 92. Okay, my bad. Oh, it's still up north. Okay. Let's look at this one. 17 homes on the market. Same story. How that worked out, I don't know. You had 25 homes last year on the market. Now you got 17. So fewer homes there too. Didn't really matter. We went to another zip code. And look again, before COVID in 2017, this time of year, you had 69 homes on the market, then 60. Then the following year, 39 in 2019. You were already doomed at that point. And then COVID, right before COVID, like a month before COVID in February of 2020, approximately is when everything kind of hit, is March or so, I think. So you had 37 homes then. And then during COVID, 16, 10, 9. In 2023, you only had 9 homes on the market in that zip code for February. Now you've got more, 17, but ain't a heck of a lot better. Goodness gracious. All right, what's happening with prices? Prices up 1.8%. I got some dogs barking. Hold on one second. Okay, dogs barking at UPS guy. So your home prices are still up 1.8%. Let's go to the the actual value. Let's find out. 197,263 is the typical home value, and is that an all-time high? No, by like what? I just saw one right here. Sorry, I guess I should know this. I mean, you're really close to it. You're really close to the all-time record high home price in 44092. If you haven't hit it, it's hard for me to see exactly, if it's like $100 difference, but you're right there. Unbelievable. So another place with an all-time record high home price. All right, now let's go to the next one. Who we got? And by the way, if you're on here, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the Ohio Housing Nerd. And if you're looking for a great realtor, I'm here. I cover Central Ohio, Franklin, Licking, Knox, Union, Morrow. I'm probably forgetting a county, Fairfield, Delaware. So like that, this market, Muskingum County, I can help. So if you're looking for a good realtor, buy, sell, give me a shout. My info's below. Dayton, Ohio. And you actually gave me a zip code, Mr. 2001. I need that music for when you come on. 45424. I'll probably get copyrighted though. 45424. YouTube's strict about that. Make sure I get it right. 424. Come on, Jay. All right. Where are we here? Where is that? What is 45424? Oh, like the Dayton area. You had said that, right? All right, let's do inventory in 45424. This is a Dayton area. Inventory, 59 homes on the market. That was at the end of February. Last year, you had 56. So here's an area where you got 3 more homes on the market, but it's not an explosion of inventory, right? We're not seeing like triple the number of homes. If you all want to see an explosion of homes, check out my Thursday or Friday live stream for my national channel. I have a national channel, just a housing nerd, not Ohio housing nerd, just housing nerd. And I do national stuff. So I'll take requests from anywhere in the country. And that's fascinating because you see stuff that you're like, what? Like that market's way different than Ohio. The point is, many markets are exploding with inventory, down south in particular, but many aren't. I mean, you had only had 11 homes back in February of 2022. You only had 11 homes on the market. And before COVID, way before COVID in 2017, you had 149 homes on the market. And you were losing inventory before COVID, just like these other ones we've looked at today. That's important because it means that before the pandemic, before the price run up, we were doomed in Ohio with inventory. Doomed. Look at prices. 4.4% up. We may not see one today where prices are down year over year. We may not see one. It's unbelievable. I keep saying that. I say it every week. But man, and no surprise, no shocker to this housing nerd. Typical home value in 45424 in Dayton. Excuse me, $218,579 all-time record high home price. I need some kind of soundbite for that. I'll work on that. Unreal. Homes have never been more expensive than they are right now in Dayton, Ohio, 45424. You should really pay attention to this or send it to someone if it's not you and you know somebody who's like, I'm waiting on the housing crash in Ohio. I'm waiting on the Airbnb distress. I'm waiting on the silver tsunami. I'm waiting on private credit, which is like the newest thing, right? Everybody's like, housing market's going to crash because of private credit. I'm waiting on foreclosures. I'm waiting on underwater mortgages, distress, property tax foreclosures, whatever. Well, it would materialize itself in the inventory and then the prices. Inventory speaks before prices do, and inventory stinks. Stinks. And as a realtor, I can tell you, it's not fun. It's not fun. So 45424, home prices higher for longer. What's the next one? What do we got? By the way, thanks for the 2001. Got the next one, 44024. Wonder where that is. Let's find out. Oh, up north. Okay, we're like in the just like east of Cleveland, right? All right, number of homes on the market right now, only 16. Last year you had 19. See what I mean? I mean, it's only 3 homes. You're like, housing nerd, that's not a big deal. Well, I get it. It's not. It's 3 houses. It could be like a mistake, you know. It's so low. But the point is, it's not higher. I mean, it's not exponentially higher. Fewer people putting their house on the market. That's the bottom line. And we're seeing a lot of markets throughout the U.S. like this. I mean, it's not like inventory is exploding everywhere, but it's definitely not exploding here. It's just not great. And again, look at this trend before COVID in 2017, 2018, 2019. Inventory actually was flat, I guess, for those 3 years, basically flat, but then it dropped off the map when COVID hit. You went from 71 active homes on the market 1 year before COVID in 2019, all the way down to 39 homes All right, let's check prices in 44024. Did I get that zip code right? I just want to make sure. 442. Yeah, I did. Good. Prices, look at this, up 5% year over year. 5% higher than last year in home prices. Wow. Wowee. Typical single family value. No surprise. Again, how many times do we have to say it today? 355,517. That is an all-time record high home price. Homes have never been more expensive in 44024 east of Cleveland than they are right now. Again, if you're waiting for this housing market crash, if you know somebody who's waiting for a housing market crash, have them watch this video. Share the video right now if you want. Have them get on. Let me look at their zip code. I mean, I'm trying to find the crash. I'm looking. Where is it? Can't find it. Not here. Now, there could be markets we haven't looked at today yet. Obviously, there's a lot of zip codes that could be falling. I'm not saying that, but like, this is just showing higher for longer home prices. And then that's flying in the face of anything people thought. And by the way, if there was doom, if there was actual distress building, lots of listings, I would share it with you. I'd be transparent. I could care less if home prices go up or down. I can't control it. I'm just going to share the data with you. So I'm not being a cheerleading realtor at all. It just is what it is. I'm just showing you the info. Wow. Okay. Well, next one. Let's see what we got. Goodness gracious. Hot rims. K4D. 44046. Oh, I just did that, didn't I? No. Did I do that one earlier? No. 44046. All right. I got it. Do you like wheels? Is that your thing? Why you say hot rims? Just guessing. All right. Well, you don't have much inventory at all, but you may just be in a small market. Yeah, so this market's really small, very hard to gauge. You only have 3 listings. Can't really do much there. I mean, you can look at it, but you don't have many usually. There's usually not a lot of activity. So this data is kind of going to be some of it's, you have to take it with a grain of salt. If you don't have much data, which you don't. So 4% higher home prices, though. Prices are up 4% in the few homes that do sell, and you don't have that many on the market, so not a surprise. And then let me look at the typical home value. Typical home value, all-time record high home price, $293,837. Homes have never been more expensive than they are right now in 44046. I would say I don't see why home prices would fall there meaningfully unless all of a sudden you get a bunch of inventory, but you haven't historically had a bunch of inventory in that zip code, so not a lot for sale. Must be like a rural area, right? Yeah. Up in the northeast quadrant. Okay. Next. What's up, Chuck? 45036. What's up, Chuck? I didn't mean to say it like that. 45036. 45036. 45036. All right. Yeah, I type like somebody who's never used a computer. That's just how I do it. Inventory. Okay, look at this. 123 homes on the market. 123 homes. Where's 45036? Let me just look this up. Oh, that's Lebanon, Ohio. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Down towards Cincinnati, Lebanon, Ohio. So you may have, I bet you do have some new construction. Maybe not, but I bet you do. I bet you have some houses, some new construction homes, and that helps inventory. 123 homes on the market. This is actually a decade high level of homes available right now. Good news. So you've never had this many homes for sale, ever. Well, going back 10 years. I can go back to 2017. That's it. 9 years. Obviously, you probably had more during COVID. Not during COVID, during the great financial crisis. But yeah, I mean, in 2016, August, you actually had 174. But as far as a February goes, in the last 9 years, you have more homes at the end of February 2026 than you've had in 9 years. So more inventory. Now let's look at prices. What are they doing? They are still up 2.5%. So not 5% at least, but they're still up. They're not down. They're not down year over year. And typical house value, unreal. 408,572. That's an all-time high record price for Lebanon, Ohio, 45036. Homes have never been more expensive than they are right now. I know you'll get sick of me saying that, but it's just the facts. It's important to highlight that in the middle of February or middle of March, home prices are just as high as they were last summer or higher. Unbelievable. So you probably do have a lot of new construction. That's my guess. And those new construction homes are expensive. And then the homes that do sell in your market, they're probably over the price that they were going for last year. And that's why that typical home value continues to increase. Homes are expensive, though. I mean, a lot higher than the state median. The state, typical value is what? 237. We looked at that earlier. 238. So you're at 408. That whole market down there feels like Mason, Lebanon. That whole area seems like it's very, very hot. A lot of people want to live there. That's what's happening in Lebanon. All right. Let me go to the comments, see what other ones we have. We got a lot. I may have to be picky here. You guys are giving me a lot. From Ohio. What's up, Christine? Good to see you. You always support the channel, and I really appreciate it. Both channels. Richwood 43344. Honestly, just interested in the politics and really don't want my city to be taken by the bank. I mean, you mean like with property taxes? Is that what you're talking about? 43344. Let's look at your zip code here. What? I don't know how much longer I can go, folks, because my battery's going to die. I don't know. My laptop's just not playing nice. Let me see. All right, this zip code 43344, only 6 homes, 8 homes on the market now, so not a lot you can judge from that. You usually have, under 10. So it's not much we can get from that. There's not a whole lot of data. Look at this. One market here where prices are down year over year. Prices are at, what's this? You're down 0.2% year over year. So home prices are flat, I guess. I mean, they're down slightly. With inflation, they're down, a couple percentage points. But the typical value is at an all-time high. We may have found one that's not at an all-time high. 254,595. Not at an all-time high. That was back last February, actually. Last February, you were at 254,897 or 987. So you're off the all-time high home price by just a few $100s. So there's one right there, but it's not a crash. You just don't have a lot of inventory. You only got a handful of homes. But thanks for jumping on. Let me scroll through here because I want to do a few more before I have to jet because of this laptop. I apologize. Last minute, I decided to do it outside. I was like, oh, it's nice. Let me do it outside. But then forgot my charger. Oh. Ah, well, what's up? TH2, how you doing, man? All right, yeah, somebody said I missed a couple that you guys got in early. 45069. Sorry about that. I used to do these and nobody would be on. So I can just kind of didn't really have to pay attention, but now you do. 45069. This is Westchester. Active inventory, Westchester, Ohio, 45069. You got 58 homes on the market now. During COVID, you had 14 homes. Look at this. Last year, you had 61. So you've lost inventory. You're one of the areas that's losing homes for sale. Unreal. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's not ridiculous. People don't want to sell. I understand why. They're like, I don't need to. 3.8% up in home prices. So home prices up versus last year. What's the typical value on a house now? Let's find out. $426,549, and that's an all-time high record price. Homes have never been more expensive in Westchester, Ohio than they are right now. So no crash, higher for longer. No surprise. No surprise. Thanks for alerting me to the top of the list. What's up, Jen? 45213. This is from earlier. You guys, 45213. You guys wanted me to do this one. So this is down in the Cincinnati area, northeast of Cincinnati, right? You got 13 homes on the market last year. 13. So same number of homes. Year before that, 12. During COVID, you had 5. You go all the way back to pre-COVID, you had 28. Yeah, 28 homes approximately. So you just don't have the inventory that you need. And now let's look at prices. How are they doing? They're only up 1.7%. So not up 5 at least, but they're not down. So that's probably going to cause a record high home price. What do we got? Is it a record high? Let's find out. 288,036. So 288 grand. Yeah. Yep. That's an all-time high record price in 45213. Homes have never been more expensive than they are right now. It's only one zip code so far, 43344. That's the only zip code we've looked at today where we weren't at all-time record high prices. Wow. Wowee. Okay. And I don't think I did this one. Parma. 44130. Did I do that one? I don't believe I did. Okay. Parma, you've got 35 houses on the market. Last year you had 22. So you do have more homes. That's good. Let me buzz up to price. What do we got for price? Up 5%. That's no good. Well, if you're a seller, it is. So that's fine. But if you're hoping for like a normalization of the housing market or going back to the way it used to be, people say that. I remember, I'm going to buy when the market's back to the way it used to be. No, not happening. They want inflation higher for longer. That's the whole plan, right? I mean, that's how the monetary system functions, is inflation. Don't believe me? Go read the Fed speeches from the last decade. You'll see. That's what they want. Higher inflation. And they're getting it through whatever mechanism possible. COVID, wars, tariffs, whatever you got to do. 230,705 homes have never been more expensive. That's an all-time record high price in Parma. Okay. What else do we got? Ooh, there was one here I didn't do. Melanie, Pickerington, Ohio, 43147. Let's do this one, 43147. 43147. All right. Inventory, 51 homes right now. Last year, what'd you have? 48. So you got more houses. Good. You had 19 during COVID. Before COVID, you had 76. You're not back to the pre-COVID level of the number of homes on the market. That just reduces your choices, and usually drives up prices. Typically, you prices up 1.3% year over year. And by the way, I haven't talked about this today, but look at the big lump here, the big camelback right here. Almost looks like a camel, right? Big camelback, where these were all the home price growths during COVID. I mean, you can see like in one month you were up 18% year over year. That's how high, that's why prices ran up the way they did, or that's what it looks like on a graph. So right now only up 1.3%, but it's not down. It's not down. That's important because obviously a lot of people thought the housing market would crash. 417,736 is your typical value, and that's an all-time high record price in 43147. Pickerington, Ohio. Wow. Homes they just keep going in Picktown. Goodness gracious. All right. Yeah, I kind of started like down further on the list. Let me thank you, Gulf of America, by the way. Thank you for correcting me on that. Somebody asked for Butler County at the top. Is that what you're saying? Oh, you made a comment. I think the property tax, property valuation fight is playing a big role. The future isn't clear, but at the same time, everyone fears the same thing, and that fear is very bright. Yeah, and I get it. There's fear. There's always fear, though, in the market. Like, I thought about it, and I was like, well, there was the great financial crisis. There was bird flus. There was the Iraq war. There was Desert Storm. There was COVID. There was tariffs. There was another war. There was private credit. There was property taxes. Like, there's always dust in the air, right? I mean, so through all the stuff that's happened over the last 25 years or whatever, people still bought and sold homes. All right? People do. The property tax thing could play a role, but I think homes will become more expensive. I think home prices will go up even more because property taxes aren't involved. So all of a sudden you qualify for a lot larger house. The people that deny that aren't being real with themselves. I mean, I hate property taxes. I can't stand them. I also like my services. I like our school. I don't want those to be defunded. I don't think they will be. Even if property taxes are abolished, we're going to fund it one way or another. But there's definitely unintended consequences from abolishing property tax. And there are probably consequences nobody's thinking of. Right? Higher home prices, more investors buying. My deals would work out a lot better as an investor with no property tax. So I think all those are very plausible. All those fears. I'm just looking at your comments. Prices will collapse when everyone dumps their homes on the market because they will be evicted. But that's a renter, right? And like, what happened the last time we had an eviction problem or a foreclosure problem? I mean, you guys know what happened last time. We're still feeling the effects of it. They just printed a bunch of money. They did an EDIL loan. They did a PPP loan, a PLP loan, a QRD loan, whatever loan they can come up with, whatever stimulus, whatever helicopter money, whatever extend and pretend, whatever kicking the can down the road that they'll do. Doesn't matter who's in office. They're going to do it. They're going to do it. They're going to bail out anything they get their hands on. And they'll cause the debt to spiral higher. Just look at history. They're absolutely going to do that. They know they can do it. So will people be evicted in mass? Maybe. But I tend to think that they're not. I'm not saying they should, by the way. They should bail everybody out. But that's what history tells me, is these folks love the bailout. So much new building. Well, not enough to make the dent in the market. Certainly not affordable homes. I mean, they can build all the $700,000 homes they want, but they're not building $350,000 homes. I mean, there's a couple developments, but that's nothing. You go out to Dallas or Phoenix, and it's like miles of houses, miles. As far as you can see, there's homes. It's like one big subdivision. In Ohio, nah, maybe a couple hundred. That's nothing. Almost everyone in my small downtown has a mortgage through the bank and is barely making it. Our bank is going to sweep the town. Oh, that's sad. No, we don't want to see that. You just can't look at the current market. It's the whole picture of people's portfolios. Credit card maxed out, auto repos at record highs, and income's not going up with inflation. Only a matter of time. Yeah, look, anything could happen. A white swan, a black swan, a purple swan, a gray swan, a rainbow swan. Anything could happen. However, when you look at the housing market, it all comes down to inventory. The more distress, the more forced selling, the more inventory, the more new listings. If you're not seeing that, something's keeping that at bay. So regardless of all of the demise, the distress, the destruction, the debacle, regardless of all that, at the end of the day, there's going to be a listing. If there's not listings, people must not be hurting that bad to list their home yet. Not saying they're not hurting, but it hasn't got to the point that they're like, I got to sell or I'm done for. I got to sell that second home. I got to sell that investment property. There are some doing that. Don't get me wrong. There is some distress, but not enough where we're seeing it in the numbers where you're like, wow, look at all this inventory. So I look at that stuff that you're mentioning like kind of symptoms, but the real disease will be if there are a ton of listings. Remember, we had 4 million homes on the market nationwide leading up to the great financial crisis. We had 4 million homes. Now we don't have barely a million right now. So you have to have a mass supply of inventory to create our home prices. That mass supply comes from forced selling. We're not seeing that. But listen, I'm not saying that there aren't problems. And I'm not saying it couldn't change. Don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted. I'm just saying right now, this data is not showing that we're headed in the next 6 months for a massive real estate crash or housing crash in Ohio. I can't see selling rental houses because what would I do with that money in taxes? Or I would sell some properties. Exactly. Boom. This is exactly right. Christine's like, why would I sell rentals when I have to pay a massive tax on that? And then what would I do with that money? Believe it or not, that's one of the biggest problems landlords have. They're like, what else would I put my money into? I'm getting cash flow right now. Put it in the S&P? Well, I don't know. But buy gold? It's been pretty volatile. I like my, cash flow. Beyond that, gold doesn't produce cash flow. So it's like, what would I do? So landlords are like, I'll just hang on to them. I market to landlords every day. I send out direct mails. I'm one of those guys that sends the direct mailers out to landlords. Very, very hard to find an opportunity. People are like, nah, I'm good. Don't smack me, but we do have a few developers buying farmlands and building the housing tracts. Yuck. Yeah, that's cool. And you will see that. We need that. We do. But it's not enough to cause a dent in supply. I think that's a very big problem with some inventory. Yeah, it is. Over half of renters can't afford it. Well, landlords will have to drop their price then. It's just supply and demand, right? Everyone's due for a massive correction on housing, cars, and the basics. I don't run the place. I just work here. I'm just showing you what the data says. And it's saying right now, prices, we only had one zip code with a non-record high home price today. We reviewed, a dozen? And they're random. I wasn't like I was cherry picking them. They're just random. So it tells me that people are willing to still pay the prices. Well, if you're talking about the Federal Reserve and monetary policy, they want, that's how the monetary system functions. It's a bailout. It's literally like expanding money supply is what the fiat currency needs to survive. Okay, I got to have an expansion of the money supply. And when that money supply enters the system, who gets it first? The asset owners, the property owners. So if I missed your zip code today, I apologize. I'm almost out of time, but I think it's important that we talk about for a second just the opportunities that are out there, because it's not all doom. So if you are someone who's been waiting to get into property ownership, asset ownership, even if you're like, I want to buy stocks, I'm not a financial advisor, but you're like, I want to buy stocks or whatever it is, any type of asset, I encourage you to figure out a way to position yourself so you can get into assets sooner than later. Now, I'm not saying you just go out and YOLO and buy anything you can. You got to be strategic with it. You don't want to waste your money. You want to do great deals, but still, like, that's what the powers at be, that's what the top is doing. The top 5%, the top 20% have assets. And they're the ones that are still winning right now. And so you don't have to like the game, but if you want to succeed, you have to play so that you can win. And I just think it's sad, and and I understand it's depressing that, hey, the fiat currency, the government wants to print more money. They're going to bail out the housing market next time. I mean, there's no doubt they would. Would it be good for the United States housing market? Probably not. But the money hits the top first when it comes in the system, right? And that's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing. I mean, 17%. I'll show you this. This will blow your mind. I just talked to a guy. I just did an interview this morning with an investor in Columbus. That interview will be up. Sean Graybow with Central City Solutions. Shout out to Sean. And he confirmed this data I'm going to show you. Look at this. This is the share of investor purchases in Ohio. Well, that's national, but let me show you Columbus. 17%. 17% of all purchases of houses, residential properties in quarter four. Is that quarter four? Let me just double check my math. Yeah, quarter four of 2025, last quarter, 17% were made by investors. And why does that matter? Because it hasn't crashed. Like, they were buying, at a height, they were buying 26% of all houses that were sold. This doesn't mean they own 26% of all homes. It means that that the ones that are sold and then purchased, 26% in 2022 were investors. Now it's down to 17, but it's not like going down this way. Last year was 17. This year's 17. Let me check Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati's 18%. And I will do another one of these lives next week. And you can jump on if I missed your zip code. 18% for Cincinnati. What about Cleveland? 25%. What? A quarter of all homes purchased in Cleveland are bought by an investor. So again, people, despite everything, the auto, the private credit, the black swans, despite all that, investors are still buying. Now, I don't know how they're making it cash flow, because I look at deals every day and it ain't cash flowing. But somebody's buying. And there are still institutional investors buying single-family rentals. They are. And mom and pop investors. I mean, mom and pop's the biggest share. But that's just crazy. I mean, nationally, what is it nationally? 18%. So it's 18% nationally. Cleveland's 25%. 26, what is it? 26, 25, doesn't really matter. And so this is not crashing. Investors continue to buy the same market share. Again, if you can get into property ownership, especially cash flowing rental properties, it's a good option. It's not the only option, and I'm not telling you to go out and buy an investment property, but at least examine it. And then you got to put a plan in place in order to buy one. And you got to hunt, and you got to dig, and you got to scratch, and you got to claw. But getting a passive rental cash flow income every month is powerful. It just is. It's not the only asset out there, but it's a good one, in my opinion. You got to buy them right, though. You got to buy it right. I've seen homes across, what's up, Milan? I've seen homes across the street go from abandoned to rehab and sold for twice the auction. It was sold by a company called EXP. Okay, well, EXP is like a broker. So that was the listing person, like me. Like I'm a realtor. I work for Kiger Realty. So, I don't work for them, but my license is there. So that's what EXP is. But that's probably not the company that owned it. It was probably owned by an LLC, an investor. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. They would do that. Because old houses take a lot of work. I don't know if you have an old house, but a lot of houses take a lot of work to make them ready to sell. And that work's not cheap. Almost every deal I look at is $100,000 in rehab. It feels like it's like $100,000 in rehab. Great. And that's why Ohio may not get cheaper for a long time, because the old homes that are rehabbed are going to command a price, especially if they're in a desirable area. But thanks for chiming in. I know you guys had some zip codes. Sorry, I didn't get to them all. I'm kind of rambling, but just want to tell you that there is opportunity out there. It's not all doom and gloom. And if you want to find a house as an owner-occupant, forget investing, but if you just want to find an owner-occupant home, there are ways to find them. There are ways without paying top dollar on the MLS. It's not, you have to have patience. It's not simple. It's not easy. It is simple, but it's not easy. Reach out to me. I'm happy to help anytime. If you want to sell your home, I am a Central Ohio realtor, and I'm happy to help you out as well. Wow, you had a lot of good comments, y'all. Wish I could get to them all. What's up? A. Jatkins. If prices go down, might have more voluntary selling from owners who want to move but can't afford it. If price goes, yeah, right. If prices go down, people would be able to transact more. If interest rates go down a lot, people may be able to transact more. That's also a possibility. But I think they'd have to go down a lot. I mean, even when they dropped below 6%, we didn't really see an uptick that much in demand. So they're going to have to drop a lot, I think. Like, could I see them stimulating the market artificially to get to below, 3% again? Yeah, I could see them doing that. Why? Because they want asset prices to inflate. Yes, that's true. Downturns are a big opportunity to buy. Yep. What's up? Ryhams. I met a Singaporean at basketball in Bangkok. He said he likes to invest in Columbus. Foreigners like to own Ohio now. Yeah. I think there's a lot of out-of-state, out-of-country investors in Ohio. I don't doubt it. Don't doubt it. And why wouldn't they? There's a lot of opportunity here. And some people have different goals. Just because I can't find a deal for me doesn't mean the other guy can't find a deal for him. Because he could be paying cash and could just say, you know what, I want to park my money, and if it's 2 or 3% I'm getting, fine. I just need a place to park my money. There are people like that. That's not me, but people are in that position where they're like, I'll just let it sit there. At least it's not going to, decline too much, and I can get some rental cash flow and have some expenses to write off, and the whole deal. Rust Belt Rehab. I may steal that. That's not bad. That would be a good channel name. That'd be a good YouTube channel name. Better take that before somebody else does. Price is coming down next 6 months. Okay, maybe, but we're headed into the spring season, right? I don't know. We'll find out. I'll be here with you to watch it every step of the way. Guarantee that. I know that people say rates aren't the problem, the prices are, but that's not how most people buy. Most people buy on payment. They just do. So I think rates do matter a lot, but prices matter. There's no doubt. It's just for most people, I think prices or, rates matter more. Not saying that's the way you should do it. James, what up? Seems like activity dramatically ticked up since last week. At least that's what I'm seeing. Oh, okay. I don't know, man. I'm seeing like maybe we will see new listings explode in the new data. I don't know. It's I'm not looking that like in Ohio, I don't think we'll sell many more homes than we did last year. Maybe a little uptick. I think prices will be up maybe 3 to 5% total for Ohio. And I think inventory will be up maybe 10% overall for the state when we're all said and done for the year. Nothing dramatic. It's kind of a boring market. Anyway, this was the live stream. Thank you for joining me. I know there were some zip codes I didn't get to. I apologize. Get to them next week, hopefully. And yeah, if you're looking for a great realtor, hit me up. Also, I do have this that you can check out. This is a freebie I'm offering. So if you go to this website, and it's linked below in the description, Jason Ferrier, my name, jasonferrier.com/free. If you go to this website, this is a page on my site, and it's a free guide on buying a home. Now, it's just a couple page PDF that I made that asks you 5 questions. And it gives you an idea if it's something that you should keep moving forward with, or should you slow your roll about buying a house? Because many people are hesitant. And one of the big questions I get is, should I buy? So I'm going to, I'll share this and you can see what I mean. So this is the page right here. So you go to jasonferrier.com/free. You can put in your email. I'll show you what that looks like. So you put in your email, and then you can download this guide. This is a free guide on should I buy in 2026 or wait. Again, that link's below. And it's 5 questions to go through with you, your partner, your spouse, and say, all right, let's go through these. Yes or no. If they're mostly or all yes, keep moving forward. If there are a few no's in there, you may want to slow your roll, get more educated, get ready to, maybe you're not ready to buy yet. So it's just kind of a guide to get you started. And again, that's free to download. All right. And again, if you need a realtor, hit me up in Central Ohio, particularly, or if it's another area of Ohio, I can refer you to somebody. But hope you have a great day, great week. I'll see you next week on the Ohio Housing Nerd. I do a national show too. That's on my national channel, and that is Thursday or Friday around noon. I'm out. Peace.